Get on my way, I need space to get the fake on. Get on my way, I need space, I'm about to take on. Get on my way, yeah, the frequency been way up, way up. Get on my way.
Alright, season 3, episode 1, who would have thought we make 3 seasons? There you go. I'm here with a very special guest, Stacy Fernandes, our first ever Barbara Campus trainer, which is a little bit like scary to say that, since how far it's come.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stacy runs our Brisbane Campus, which we are currently in at the moment. I think we've done a couple of podcasts from here, so you may recognize the space. But Stacey, thank you for coming in early. I've pulled Stacey out of bed to come in early so we can do a podcast before the students rock up, because as soon as they know we're doing a podcast, they'll be pulling faces in the window and stuff.
Or they'll be so loud and wanting to talk on the podcast.
They will 100% be so loud.
Be Snapchatting it.
100%. And then on Insta like that. But anyway, alright, let's start off. Icebreaker, play your favourite songs, Stacey.
Okay, so I wrote this down to make it easier. Because I never know the names of my songs, so I had to go through my Spotify playlist. Okay, so, as we all know, the Hooligan Hef songs, we already know. I also like Sweet Nothing by Calvin Harris and Florence. Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machines.
Yeah.
Milky Chance, the Cocoon song. And Fast Cars by Jonas Blue. And Waking Up, Avicii.
We were just discussing how random Stacey songs were. I didn't know what Stacey was saying that. But I think that's sick. I love that. I'm random in it. I tell you.
Yeah.
So it's good. Alright, let's get into it. Tell us about Stacy Fernandes growing up. Where did you grow up, Stace?
So I grew up in Hervey Bay, so like 3.5 hours north,
Yep.
until we were in year 8, year 9. We moved to Brisbane, and then I went to Capalaba High.
You always
Straight
say
up.
you were
Straight out of the ghetto. Yeah, it's definitely not. I feel like I'm the poster child because I don't have a drug addiction. I don't have 10 kids, 10 different people, and I have a job. And I'm not in jail, so I'm like the poster child of Capalaba High.
You're like, when they go to school, they say, look, you could be like Stacy Fernandes up here, or you could
Go to prison.
go to the dark path. That's good. I love that. Alright, sweet. So, you moved when you were how old?
I would have been like 13, 14. It was such like a strange change from
That's a tough age to move.
100%. Especially because, like, let's face it, the curriculum in Hervey Bay is probably not up to standard. So you think you're all like intelligent in this like public high school, and then you come to Brisbane and like the level of education is just that little bit further, and then you're like, how am I failing everything?
You get people on there, how clever you are, and doing this and doing that.
Yeah. Well, my expertise is not in schooling; it's in barbering.
Correct. So, the transition. What age did you get in the hair?
So I enrolled in my Cert 2 when I was 15.
Wow.
So I started doing my Cert 2 when I was 15. I did it through Alex Hill's tape. And then, because at Capalaba, you didn't actually have to go to school on Wednesdays when you're in senior years. So we went to TAFE and did my Cert 2 for 3 hours a week for 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. So now, like, the fact that you can do it in, like, a couple of months, and then here I am for 2 years having to commit to a Cert 2. It was, and, like, high school wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So committing to an extra 2 years of high school to get it done was definitely hard.
So did you transition then straight into hair after that Cert 2? Did you know
Yeah.
you wanted to do
So the Cert 2 when I did it was a Cert 2 in hairdressing. So, like, that's how old the Cert was. And then, well, 15. It's like, it's nearly 17 years ago now. That's how long. And, like, in that course, because, like, they still had, like, a proper salon there. So we still had to put, like, colours on. We still had to do proper blow dries. Like, it wasn't like what it is now.
Yeah.
Like it was very much like you still have to do everything but cut hair.
So you're basically an apprentice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was paying to be their apprentice and put on their colours for like the other guys. Yeah. So that was good. So at least we got to, do a bit of colour. So then when I did go into my apprenticeship, colour did click a lot easier because I was 17 and I qualified within 2 years instead of the 4 that it was back then.
Yeah.
And I specialised in colour for a little bit.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then here we are barbering.
You can't keep that many steps. So hairdressing piece.
Yeah.
You did your 2 years at the same salon.
Yeah. And then I went on to manage that salon when I finished.
So you doing many men's cuts then?
I was terrible.
Really?
I was awful. So my first ever men's cut was so traumatic. Traumatic. So it was like, I had this boyfriend at the time and his dad came in as my first men's cut and he hates me, like didn't like me at all.
Yeah.
And he made the comment which made me incredibly uncomfortable at 17. He goes, "Don't cut daddy."
Okay.
Weird, right?
Yeah,
so then the first thing I've done is panicked and cut my finger. It wasn't even my finger, it was like in here. So you can see that scar. So we had to tape my hand up with tissues to finish the haircut. And then there was just so much blood. So then I didn't cut men's hair for another 6 months because I was like, no, it's not for me. I don't want to touch it. I'll wait till the end. So I was technically, so obviously it was 2 years, but I still had to do my 4th level at the time. So the 4th year, not knowing how to cut men's hair. Because I was so traumatic.
Yeah. All the times, but do you know the funny thing? I'll cut in here, which is hilarious. I don't know if you know what I'm doing with this. But when I first interviewed Stace, we did it by Zoom, didn't we? Because
Yes.
of COVID. And we originally had a big set that we were going to have you. And Stace messaged me going, "Hey, sorry, are we able to do it a bit later on?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, no problem." And when we actually had the interview, I was like, "Oh, was everything alright earlier on?" And Stace goes like that. And we just had a massive bandage. Because you chopped it together.
Yeah, 3 stitches. I'd cut my knuckle clean off on a busy Saturday at lunch.
Which is the perfect time we want to be doing it. So,
Do you know what the worst part is? I had an apprentice in there, and he sends me a video while I'm at the hospital getting stitches. He's like, "You've left something behind, and it's still on my scissors."
That's a souvenir.
Yeah.
I said to Mum, I was like, "Should we be hiring this person?" Just chopped off half her hand. But no, it was. It's quite funny. Again, it was when we went. I know I say this every time, so people are going to be like, "Oh, this story again." But we hired Stacey as a Cert 2 trainer.
Yeah.
For the Sunshine Coast, because we were dealing with a Cert 2 course up there. And yeah, it was 1 day a week. Wasn't it?
Yeah, 1 day a week.
Like, oh, yeah,
9 till 8:30 to 3.
And I think it was about 2 weeks, and then we were like, "Actually, we need you full time." And then just went on from there, and then, yeah, it's grown ever since. So we do, I know we say it a lot when we do our articles, sort of mocker and cuts out and stuff like that, but it is really it's crazy how it just grew with you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Because at the time, I remember we had 2 barber students when you first started. And one of them paid for the course by giving us workstations.
Oh, Danny.
Home-based salons, shout out. Hilarious. I was like, at the time, we had no idea what we were doing. Thank goodness we had Stacey. I think I'd only just started cutting hair.
Yeah, it wasn't long before that.
Yeah. So, was that before or after Mum came out of hospital? After that.
Yeah, I started in, I think everything, all the interviews and stuff were May, because I did my Cert 4 then.
She would have been there the year before in hospital as well, so I would have just started cutting without anybody saying, "What the hell are you doing?" Which was good. So no, it's brilliant, and it's crazy to see how much you've grown as well. I know I say it to you all the time, but I think it's really this is the perfect thing for you, if that makes sense. Because you get that flexibility of it's not, you go home and you're like, "Oh God, I hate this industry."
Yeah.
It's we're still, I'm looking at the awards literally as I'm speaking to you, and it's amazing that you're doing stuff like that as well. Again, me, right? So I'm going to ask Stacey about it. But what made you want to kind of go into the awards and stuff this year? Because I know you were a little bit on the fence about it.
So originally, I didn't, like when we did the photo shoot, it was like, I come in and I was like, hey team, let's do this.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us had actually grasped the concept of we're going to actually do a competition. Like we're going to do the forms, we're going to actually enter. Yeah. I think we were kind of like, all right, let's just do one step at a time. And like, we'll do it all together.
Yeah.
So I gave both classes, so my Monday, Tuesday, and my Thursday, Friday class the option. Obviously my Monday, Tuesday class haven't entered, and they weren't, I guess, far enough into the course at the time, because they had only been in it for like, I don't know, 10 weeks. So a lot of them were like maybe next year. But my Thursday, Friday, we have like a bullying relationship.
Bullying is the word.
So
I think pushy is the best.
Yeah. So
I'm doing it, you're doing it.
Yeah, so that's with everything. So like, you know, if we were going to do content that day, Lily would be like, we're doing it, you're doing it, I'm doing it, let's do it. And then if we were to do something else, if it was Tia, she'd be like, yeah, we're doing it, you're doing it, I'll do it. Yeah. Which how a lot of our stuff on Thursday, Friday classes happen. So Ethan and Fatia had agreed, and they were like, if you do it, I'll do it. And I was like, hey, if you do it, I'll do it. And then we went and did our photo shoot, and then we're like, okay, if the photos turn out alright, then we'll enter. And then obviously there were so many to choose from. I think I had like 280 something photos to pick from. And it was hard because like you already nitpick your own work anyway. Exactly. So then to like enter a competition, you had to like then nitpick it like the next level. So I think by the time I went through it, I found like 10 photos of the 283 that I even thought were close enough to being able to be entered. So the only reason I really entered it was because the Thursday, Friday wanted to do it as well. Yeah. And I didn't particularly want to do it on my own. Yeah. Competition work hasn't really been something I've done before. Yeah. Like I did it once, like years ago for a colour comp, so that was going back 15 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, I haven't done anything since then, so it was good. I'm glad Thursday, Friday said yes.
It was a cool day, that photo shoot, and I completely understand where you're coming from, because that day just seemed to come around like that.
Yeah.
Like it was like, oh shit, today's the day with us. Yeah. I think it was only because you messaged me the day before going like, oh hey, one of my models has pulled out. And I was like, shit, that photo shoot's tomorrow. I'm like, so we obviously, one of my mates was in there, which is hilarious. But yeah, it really came around quick. And
it did.
I think Andrew was so helpful with all of the planning, but I've got to say, I'm just useless. I was just like, I didn't know what to do, because I've never done that before or anything. It's like, it's good times. But it turned out amazing. Now obviously you won.
Which, to be fair, if I didn't have Jason Josie, like I would have been really struggling. Yeah. Especially with you having to go down, because like I was still cutting while like a couple of my haircuts were being photographed.
And that's the one thing which I think needs to be said. It was crazy. Like we were basically in a warehouse. There was a storage container.
Yeah, shipping container.
Shipping container upstairs, which you could walk up to, and there was kind of like 3 stations, hardly any light.
There was like one down line.
Yeah. And people were like shining phones to get some kind of light in there for you to cut. And basically the models who were coming down, it was like Stacey would cut and they go, sweet, go and have your photo, and then cut the next model. Yeah. So it was actually amazing, because it was, like you were saying, Josie and Jason downstairs going like, that's it, do this angle, do that angle. Awesome. So,
which was very helpful.
Yeah, it's just good to have people who've done it before. And that's why Drew was so good, because he was just like, oh yeah, sweet, do that. And I was like, shit, that makes such a difference. Like, it's crazy, and that's helped me so much even with my content, doing it now, which we're not going to talk about, because I already feel sick thinking about what Trey does, and his spin emotion is just making me feel sick already.
Just want you to get the photo in before you blink.
I know, exactly. It's like, sweet, done. But no, like obviously the awards night. Tell us about the awards night. Probably not how much wine you drank, but the rest of the night in regards to
There's a bit of
feeling.
it's a bit of blurriness with the
Yes,
night.
I know. I was thinking that.
So originally we rocked up and like all day, because like obviously Ethan and his partner come to Melbourne. So Ethan's one of my full-time students on Thursday, Friday. So all day I was like, Ethan, prepare a speech. You've got this. You're going to win. And he was like, have you prepared one? I'm like, no, I'm not going to win. It's fine. I was like, I'm just here to celebrate you and to eat and drink and have a good time. So as we all know, I did drink and slightly eat. And just was like enjoying my night and talking to everyone, and the amount of shops, I'm so sorry to every shop that spoke to me, because I plugged every student that I had, trying to get every student I had a job.
Yeah, we're going to start calling them seats.
I've got plenty of students.
Yeah.
So when they announced my award, we all know that we've got a video of it happening. I looked very shocked. I had a bit of an.
I remember you looking across the table. You know how shocked we were. I said this to laugh. I was like, you know when you were just like,
oh shit.
Literally, it's that oh shit moment. And this reminds you of like the Oscars. You know when actors are like, oh shit, and they just don't acknowledge anybody else at the table. They're just like straight up to the stage. They're like, oh shit, okay, I'll just go straight up. And that's literally what it reminded me of when you were doing it. So
yeah,
it was so funny. It's like, boom, straight up on stage. Like, no, you're like, it was good though. I wonder if we can put that speech into the video as well. So, yeah, be careful. But I was recording it because I had a sneaky suspicion that Stacey was going to win. Even though you said to me, did you know I was going to win? I didn't, but I went to Sean Hayes. I spoke to him the week before, and he was like, "Oh, who do you think will win this, this, and this?" And I said, "I was like, oh, I've got a feeling, like sneaky little feeling, Stacey will win that one because it's like the classic."
yeah.
And I said, "I think that's perfect for that kind of collection / category." So
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't tell you obviously, but I was like, I had a sneaky feeling it was gonna happen.
But there was some very good barbers in my category.
100%.
Like that. And like almost all of them were in education of some sort. So it's a bit hard to like go up against like a wild educator and like an Anderson educator. Like it was, yeah. It was, yeah. But like, you know what I mean? Like it's different in an RTO versus working as a product educator.
100% agree. I actually think it's a little bit of a negative being as an RTO. I think you've got a disadvantage to everyone else.
Yeah.
And this is no offense to RTOs, the awards, anything like that. I'm just saying, I think it's because RTOs don't have the best name.
They don't.
So it's like, we're just trying to change that, and you winning that, I think is such a statement, because people go, shit, that's a trainer who won that. But people don't know how much you work outside of training as well.
I do. I work a lot.
Clients and stuff like that. So I think that is it was a bit of a recognition of going like, fuck yeah, you've done hard work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there you go, there's a little thank you kind of thing. So yeah, it's funny, the amount of people who were like, shit, you're gonna have to give us such a pay rise now. And I was like, people for it. So that's good. So yeah, I was like, oh jeez, but no, it was amazing. It was so good. Alright, next topic. Because I feel like I'm talking about myself here all the time. It was amazing. This is the best time. So you're kind of, obviously everyone watching this will know you're an educator with Barber Academy and up in Brisbane. But let's talk about your private education as well.
Yeah.
What you kind of want to move into with that stuff as well.
So towards like the end of last year, I had a lot of people reach out to obviously the academy and to myself about doing one-on-one educations. I don't know if many people know, but like I'm obsessed with shaving. I just love shaving. I just really like shaving. I find it very relaxing. I find it very relaxing for the client, and it's like a bit of a niche that not everyone knows how to do. A lot of people pick up the cutthroat and they're like, what the fuck do I do now? Yeah, and that's because they haven't done the steps correctly to be able to do a nice shave. And I think that a lot of barbers, because like let's face it, you can learn how to do a lot of things from watching videos or in person and things like that. But shaving is definitely something that you do need to have the hands-on experience with.
Yeah, I agree. And you need somebody kind of over your shoulder.
Yeah. And
no, not like that. Like
yeah.
this,
because of that, if you don't get the cut through on that right angle, you're going to cut someone if you go over something too quickly. So a lot of people are just too intimidated by it, so they don't want to do it. So I did do a couple of little one-on-one workshops last year based around shaving. So I did one with a girl that came over from British Columbia, Victoria, to do some shaving and some beards. And then I actually went out to Stanthorpe a couple of weeks before that to go and do some shaving and some fading and some mullets out at Stanthorpe. So that was fun. So I'm just trying to do a little bit more of like the one-on-one education as well, because working in RTO can be quite repetitive. As you already know, same haircut, same questions with 7 different people.
Yep.
So I just wanted to make sure that like I still got to do like fun things and still going into like their shop and doing education, just kind of like that atmosphere is like it's different.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's what I found like. I know we've been speaking about education for so long doing the private stuff, and hopefully this year we'll actually do it together as well. But it's that we're so tied with the RTO stuff.
Yeah.
It's so like you have to teach it this way, even though we
100%.
try and do so much extra.
Yeah. We do.
And I know you do, especially yourself. But it's like I just think if we can do a lot more of that one-on-one training, the group training, it just keeps that spark going. Like, that's
100%.
why I like everyone with clients. Like that's why I cut hair because I'm like I still want that spark.
Yeah.
Shit, that was cool. Like
Yeah.
I know you're exactly the same, and I think I kind of got that from you. It's a very interesting one. I think a lot of people go like, and I remember you saying it to me like, oh, would it be okay if I did? And I'm like, fuck yeah. I was like, do it. I was like, 100%. I was like, that's what I want everyone to do. All of our trainers, like I say it to all of them. It's just whether they want to push and do it.
Yeah. And there is a lot of work in pushing it.
Yeah.
Like, I've been a bit slack over the Christmas period because obviously my personal shop was so busy.
Yeah.
Moving houses and obviously the end of school year and then Christmas. So I didn't really do much with it. But I don't think a lot of people realize how much actual work goes in making a workshop. And the workshops do take a lot of like work, not just the workshop. I think people don't realize how many hours you're going to put into doing your emails, having a breakdown of what you're doing. And like, it's a little bit silly, but when I used to go to workshops, you used to get like a certificate of attendance. So, and I used to love it. I've got like a little portfolio of them and I still have them all these years later. So I do those for my little people that come in for the workshop. It's a bit cute because they get all excited that they get it. But it does, like even doing that takes time because like I spent hours on hours doing those. Like I don't think a lot of people realize how much work goes into a workshop, and that's why a lot of workshops don't take off. I think there's a lot of work, and I think people underestimate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the time, and I know I've said this to you, it's about like charging for your value. And I think when people just see the figure, they go like, oh, but, like this is why area is so good at it.
Yeah.
Like, they charge. If you look at the dollar value, you're like, oh shit, that's like pricey. But then everything that comes in there, when you actually do the training, you're like, oh yes, I know why. And I think that's one thing, especially with yourself as well. It's like after the course, they go, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it is. We haven't done a one-on-one or anything, but I certainly feel a hell of a lot more comfortable shaving after like you being there with me and I'm shaving, or even like I still remember those tracks I did
that I fractured you
3 years ago, and you were like, cut throat it. I really want to cut throat it, and like I'm not entirely confident.
Yeah.
And you were like, just do it. You were like, I'm here. It's sweet. And you did it. And it was like, this is easy. And then I didn't. That's
gonna rip off the band-aid.
Yeah, no, it is that. It's like we were saying, it's not that, like, it's just that pushing tactic of, it's alright. It will be okay. Like, it's just there. It's sweet.
Grows back.
We cut you. We have stuff here, which will help. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, I think that's also something which helped a lot when it's like, you will cut people. you're very upfront to people. You're not like, oh my god, you just cut someone.
Yeah.
You're not going to cut people in
Yeah.
the street. Like you're using a razor on somebody's face or
Yeah.
on their head or whatever. So I think it's just being that, open and honest with them. I really think the education's, you're going to get smashed this year because we've got a couple of things in the pipeline as well, which is going to promote Stace, and I think it'll just go straight away, which is awesome. So, otherwise, that's the plan.
True Fit and Hill.
Yeah, exactly. Plug everyone. No, I'm joking. Right, what's next for Stacy Fernandes? Obviously, your training and stuff like that, but what's kind of your...
Yeah.
I hate saying what's your plan for the next 12 months and 5 years and stuff like that, but is there something which you kind of went, you know what, I'd really like to do that, like what you did with the awards?
Yeah. I'm not sure yet. I know that I've reached out to Colette about the female barber comp this year, not necessarily being an entrant, but being part of organising it or being in it somehow without entering. I don't think I want to be a part of that barber comp. Yeah. I think I want to help push the girl barbers in here to be in that comp.
Yeah, I love that.
Because I know it does help with your confidence, and I know that it will help the students in here and female barbers that I know as well. So I really want to be a part of it, not necessarily entering though. But yeah.
I spoke to Colette a month ago, I think it was, and she goes, "How many females do you have to do the course?" And I was like, "That's a very good point." I was like, "I've never looked at it. 46% of our students are female." I was like, that's amazing for something which when we first did the industry, because I remember you saying to me, you were like, I don't know how they're going to take that I'm female.
100%.
And I was like, it was kind of like, how do you talk about it? It'll be fine. And then to see how much that's grown.
Yeah.
How many of our female students are absolutely smashing it now.
Yeah,
well.
100%.
Group, Zoe and stuff like that. It's absolutely crazy. But no, sorry, go on.
I actually remember teaching both Ruby and Zoe's class, and there was quite a few boys in there, and they're a bit like, "Oh, you're just a hairdresser." And I've learnt now, I know it's a bit silly, but you have to do it. You do have to do a demonstration in the first 2 weeks to kind of show you know what you're doing, because the first thing you do get is, "Oh, you're just a hairdresser."
What do you mean?
Or can you fade? So I've now learnt every intake I do a bit of a flex, and I do a fade in the first 1 or 2 weeks, and I do it on one of the students. So they do understand and they can see that we actually know what we're talking about, and we're not just all talk.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I know, which working on the schedule with yourself as well about the demos throughout the course. It's you can do every single aspect of the course. Does that make sense? You can go. If somebody went I'm not really getting this, then you could go, cool, I'll do them. Razor cuts, I'll do a demo. Shaving, I'll do a demo. Skin fades, I'll do a demo. It's all of that stuff. And again, that's why I think it stands out over other training providers, because of how we do that. It's very hands-on and how active our trainers are.
Yeah.
Whereas, what we've just spoken about, you still work on clients.
Yeah. So I'm booked until April, fully booked. I can't fit the person in. Not this Saturday, the following Saturday. I often let my clients talk me into little extra appointments. So I'm starting at 7 and I finish at 6:15 on a Saturday. It was going to be 7, but then they'll can't cancel things.
I see you are.
So I'm still on the floor, and I don't really do hairdressing anymore. I have 2 female clients, and they pretty much get a scalp bleach.
Yeah.
And that's what I like doing.
Yeah.
And I know it's terrible, but now I pick and choose what I do because I am so busy.
That's not terrible.
It is, because if I don't want to do that, then I'm I know someone else.
Yeah, but I don't think that is. I think that's actually a very smart way of doing it, and I think people respect you more there, because that's one thing which has fucked the industry. I know we speak about it all the time, the amount of people who are we can do scalp bleach, and they do it, and we're like,
they can't just scalp bleach.
So it's and just having that to go, well, I'll just do an education day on that.
Yeah.
Which again, we're going to be doing this year. So it's kind of like, is that an ego? I don't know if that's an ego thing, but that's what I think. But no, it's very interesting times. I think the next 12 months is going to be huge.
Yeah.
I know we say that every single 12 months.
Especially with scalp bleaching, because I know with my intakes, I've given them the option, which I haven't really done with other intakes. So I've done the workshops anyway. So I've done the classes where we put the bleach on and I go through it with them and like the colours. But I've actually got all my intakes now wanting to do scalp bleachers rather than like another unit, which is good. Because a lot of men are stepping into the colour and going with the brighter colours. Yeah. So I do think it's good that we are preparing them
I
for the
still
next
love
step.
when people go, you're just a hairdresser. And it's like you look at any top barbers in the world, they've all been hairdressers.
Yeah, and then transitioned.
Which is superb.
Yeah.
But no, I 100% agree. It's like we're just trying to stay ahead of the ball, and it's great to have somebody like yourself who we can literally go, hey, we're going to introduce scalp bleaching, and you don't go, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
You can go, straight, easy.
And if I don't know how to do it, I'm going to make sure I do know how to do it.
Exactly.
Like, when I first started my track work, and I said that to you when you hired me, I was like, oh, they're pretty average. And I definitely have spent the past year making sure that my track work did improve.
Yeah.
And it's just like what people feel like with cutthroating, that was me in tracks. So I definitely think that I've improved in that. And that's the thing is, if you don't know how to do something, then don't just be content with not knowing how to do it.
Exactly.
And that's what a lot of people do, go, I don't know how to do it, and then throw their hands and be done. Whereas you need to make sure that you keep up to date and you make sure that you do the education so that way when it does come in, you know how to do it and you're not left behind because that's what's happening.
It is happening, and it's already started to happen. Like, even just speaking to the shops that we deal with, you can already tell people are saying that. Yeah. They're like, oh, well, we offer cutthroat shaves. And they're like, oh, we would never bought cutthroat shaves. And like, what do you mean? Like, it's in the course.
Yeah.
So,
well, when I did my Cert 3 in barbering, there was no option for me to do a tracks because it hadn't been put into the course structure yet. So.
Good times. My tracks aren't shit, but I'm the same as Stace, and I'm just like, I'm trying to get into it, watching more videos on it.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's if you compare my tracks to Leo, you're a bit like, okay.
Yeah, but
that's like the whole of the Gold Coast.
But he's in the same way shape.
Yeah. So, yeah. But we can hold our own in a shop. We can do what a client asks for. We just can't do 3D pictures of my own face on someone's head. Yeah. We're not Leo and Rob the original.
In 12 months' time, we're going to put a video up of you doing the 3D one. But look at this kid. How quickly we turn him fast. And on that note, that's the perfect time to end the podcast because he's going to be so loud when he comes in.
100%.
Thank you so much, Stacey.
That's right. Thanks for having me.
To teach our full-time classes up, which is fantastic. But yeah,
and all of them are outside.
I know.
They're early too.
I know, they're very early. I was like, they've been here for like 20 minutes as well, which is superb. But yeah, very excited to see what happens in the next 12 months with yourself.
It's going to be good.
With the Barber Academy, so especially Brisbane based, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to keep on pumping. Who would have thought we had a space like this
when
you first started?
Especially coming from Mermaid.
I know, it's crazy that Mermaid space we had.
I don't know
4 chairs in it, which weren't even barber chairs.
And then we got 6 barber chairs.
Which could not fit in there.
No. So then we had the 10 chairs and we had 12 students and 12 head blocks. And I remember the day, it was like middle of summer, the aircon stopped working. I had 12 students and 12 clients in that room. I was like, is this really what I want to do?
You were just like, I don't know if we can do this anymore. And I was like, I agree. And I was like, because we were going through a lease thing at the time, weren't we? And we were like, let's just boom. And then we moved to Southport, and then we're moving to Robina. So
Robina will be good.
Maybe one day we'll stay in the same place. Who knows?
Well, the thing is, with the moving, it's just showing that we're growing. Like, we've gone from a smaller space to a bigger space to, obviously, it's still just as big, but who would have thought in a shopping centre? Who would have thought we would have gotten busy enough and big enough that,
a real shopping centre.
Exactly.
Especially 2 students, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But there you go. Good times. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
You've been amazing. Thank you so much. We have a couple of videos from Stacy coming out soon, but I need Pete to edit them. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy.
See ya.
Now I'm a traveler leading the line. They wanna cut me, I'm bleeding divine. Home of the greed, land of the slaves. No, we ain't free, still we do great. No, we ain't free, still we do great. Yeah, still we do great. I gotta say it and say it and say it again. Me and the devil ain't making amends. I've been a rebel since Lego and Friends. I got